guess I would hope that, my story would inspire some people to just say, you actually don't really need to be qualified to, make an impact in the world. Charity Water has now helped about 5.2 million people in 24 countries get clean water. We employ over 1,600 locals now around the world on these water projects. And I didn't go to school for international development. I didn't come through the traditional path. Problem was, when I came back to New York, I had no money. Nightclub promoters are great at spending money. We're very bad at saving money, very good at spending other people's money. So I was living on my old business partner's couch and said, look, I have this vision of trying to help 1 billion people get clean water, and at the same time creating a movement of generosity and compassion and empathy and reinventing charity and the way people think about giving. And he's like, cool, man, you can use my couch and do it here. The only thing I knew how to do was to throw a party in a nightclub. And I remember getting about 700 people to come out. I gave them open bar, and I asked them all to just throw $20 in at the door as a donation. And we raised about $15,000, so it wasn't a ton of money. But with that $15,000, we immediately took it to, every single penny, to a refugee camp in northern Uganda, and we did our first few water projects. And then we sent the photos and the GPS back to the 700 people that attended, just to show them that their money had really made an impact. Even though it was such a little money, come together. This group had impacted the lives of people living in this refugee camp called Bobi. Really important to me was not just trying to bring people clean water, but also really changing charity, changing the face of charity. And as I looked around, I realized that so many of my friends weren't giving because they didn't trust charities. I would hear this expression time and time again, charities are black holes. I give to a charity, I don't know where my money goes. So I had 3 big ideas at the time. One was, you gotta solve the money problem. So what if we just created a model where 100% of every donation we ever took from the public went directly to give people clean water through water projects. And somehow I would go and fund the overhead and the operating costs of the organization separately. I would go find people and get them excited about paying for the salaries, paying for the office costs, even the toner and the telephone bills. But we would use every single penny. We would be so crazy about the integrity of the 100%, we would even pay back credit card fees. Second idea was just to prove, using the available technology, what we did with that money. And since we were building water projects in Africa and India and Asia, throughout the world, we would put every photo and GPS of every completed project up online on our website, in Google Maps, in Google Earth, for the whole world to see. And then the third thing was I wanted to work with local partners. I'd seen so many failed projects where well-intentioned Westerners fly to these countries and they just get everything wrong. They pay too much for cement, they don't understand the cultural context that they're working in. And as I had worked in Benin and then Liberia, I'd seen so many great local organizations who were fantastic at the cultural stuff. They were fantastic at hydrology and drilling wells and leading their communities forward. They were terrible at raising money and awareness. So that's what we would do. We would almost not try to do too much. We would raise awareness about this issue. We would raise as much money as possible. And then we would fund the local partners. We would empower them to lead their own communities and their countries forward. When we're able to bring clean water, no matter what the solution is, into a village, it improves the health. We say water changes everything. It impacts health, it impacts education. There was an 88-page study published by the United Nations that said every dollar invested in water and sanitation makes these communities 4 to 12 times richer. And one of the things we always try and fight is apathy, right? There are all of these problems out there and it's just easy to get paralyzed and say, what can I do about it? So one thing we've done is we've asked people to just use their birthday to help people get clean water. And it's a very, very simple idea. We said, look, you have enough stuff. You don't need a wallet, you don't need a tie. Ladies, you don't need another handbag. And there are almost 1 billion people that don't even have access to clean water. So what if we could turn our birthdays, which are typically about us, it's typically about our gifts and our parties, what if we could turn them into giving moments? What if we could make our birthdays about others? And the idea we came up with was setting people up to ask for their age in dollars, or pounds, or euros. So a 7-year-old will say, I don't want anything for my 7th birthday, just give me $7. And then 100% of the money will go to water projects, and we'll all be able to see the photos through GPS of the projects that we've helped accomplish. So this has just kind of exploded as an idea. 7-year-olds, 31-year-olds, we've had 89-year-olds give up their birthday. I was in Seattle once speaking at a church who had raised a ton of money for the organization by throwing a keg party, which is its whole own story. They'd raised over $500,000 for clean water. And I went out to thank them, and I was telling the church, I said, look, every single person here sitting here, you could do one thing. Give up your next birthday. Donate your birthday to charity water and involve your friends. And there was an 8-year-old girl sitting in the audience. Her name was Rachel Beckwith. And she was game for the idea. She told her mom, my birthday's coming up. I can't believe that kids are drinking nasty water simply because of where they're born. I don't need any toys. I don't need a party. And she set a fundraising goal of raising $300. She fell a little short and she only raised $220. And she told her mom that she was bummed. She had missed her goal and she would try harder with her next birthday, with her 10th birthday. At the time of Rachel's birthday, I was in the Central African Republic and flew back to New York, and I actually got a call from her pastor saying, there was this girl in my church, Rachel, she saw you speak, she gave up her birthday. She was just killed in a terrible car crash. There was a 20-car pileup and a tractor trailer smashed the back of her car that her mom was driving and her sister was in the front. And she was the only fatality. And the pastor said, look, the family would like to open up Rachel's fundraiser and honor her last wish, which was for people to donate $9 for her birthday so kids could have clean water. So I remember just being kind of stunned, and my wife and I sat on the couch and we made the $80 gift that just brought her at least to her goal. And then I watched this church kind of come around this and donate $9 and $90 and $99 and $999. And her campaign quickly went from $220,000 to $100,000. And then it started spreading within the Seattle community, went to 300,000, 1,000 times more than her vision when she was living. It started spreading around the world, and people in Africa started donating $9 for this girl that cared more about them than her own birthday presents. Rachel wound up raising over $1.2 million, getting over 60,000 generous people involved, inspired by her lack of apathy, I guess you could say, her inability to just accept the norm that, simply because you're born, you have to drink dirty water. And she was able to help 37,000 people. So I met her mom. Her mom was a single mom after the death, and we were doing a TV show together as her mom was talking about her daughter's legacy. I remember the first time I saw her kind of walking towards me, I blurted out, you need to go with me to Ethiopia on the 1-year anniversary of Rachel's death, and you need to meet the people that your daughter has helped. And she started crying, and I started crying, and she said, I'd love to come. Can I bring my pastor? Can I bring Rachel's grandparents? So that trip happened on the 1-year anniversary, and it was one of the most extraordinary experiences I've had over the last 8 years here at Charity Water, seeing the way that the Ethiopians honored this family. There was a church where the priest had been praying for 8 hours before we arrived that God would keep this little girl's soul safe. They had her picture up. They named an entire valley after Rachel. The older women would walk up to Samantha, the mom, prostrate themselves at her feet and say, we've lost children too, but your daughter's death has brought us and our children life. It was an extraordinary experience, just being able to make that connection, to close the loop and give the family, certainly not their child back. Nothing is more tragic than that, but at least, making that tangible and real, that Rachel has helped 37,000 people get access to life's most basic need. Over the last 8 years, thanks to so many people in the space, thanks to so many amazing supporters, the number has come down to 748 million people without clean water. It's still a big number, but it's smaller than it was when we started. And today, Charity Water is giving about 2,500 people clean water every single day of the year. And that's not thanks to me, it's not thanks to the team here in this office. It's really thanks to our community of supporters who are saying, not on my watch, it's just not okay to live in a world where kids are drinking dirty water if I can do something about it. people wanted to learn more, you can go to charitywater.org/birthdays. I've given up 7 now. I'm turning 40, so it's going to be a big one for me in a couple months. I was fortunate enough to see something, to just see something that wasn't right in the world and say, hey, if I can be a small part of righting that wrong, of righting that injustice, and if I can involve some people in it, then it's worth fighting for. And I mentioned in the beginning, I think it requires a lot of tenacity. I mean, a lot of people said no, even today. As much success as we've had, there's a bunch of people that say, yeah, that's not for me, or that's not an issue that I care about. So I think, if it's a social venture you're thinking about starting, if it's a social business, it just comes down to hard work and passion and fighting really hard and making sure you really are passionate about it, making sure you really believe in it. I think passion for me is just, it's a combination of things. I mean, how deeply you care about something, and I think it comes out. I've heard people try to force passion every once in a while. You can just see through it. Like, how deeply do you care? How much are you willing to work for something? Are you willing to keep showing up even when it gets tough, even when it gets really hard? Passion's actually a core value here at the organization. When we're looking to hire people, why do you want to be here is a question I'll ask. It's certainly not for the money. Do you really want to make an impact? Do you really want to use your gifts to serve others and make a difference? So it's something we highly, highly value here at Charity Water.